and welcome to Roadmap 2019, where we talk to some of the key players in Nigeria's journey to the 2019 elections. I am Ladi Akeredoluwale. Thanks for joining us. My guest on today's edition of the program says a change of paradigm from physical infrastructure to person and group interactions will de-emphasize the role of money in Nigeria's electoral process. My guest also says that harnessing the percentage of the population currently not voting, but who should, will guarantee victory for his candidature in the coming polls. Now, please join us as we talk to the presidential candidate of the Alliance for New Nigeria, Mr. Olufela Durotoye.
Mr. Olufela Durotoye, thank you so much for being with us. Welcome to Roadmap 2019.
Great to be here.
Now, tough times we have right now. The jobs report, what would other clients call job reports, came out, and more than 20 million Nigerians are now officially recognized to be out of work. And of course, there are commentators who say the figure is much higher, depending on which parameters you use. So I'm going to start off from there. Over the last 3-4 years, how do you think the country has done?
Well, I mean, just going by what you would call the quality of life index, I would say that we haven't done well. There are now more people out of work than ever. Again, like you said, 20.6, some people say 0.8 million out of work. The consumer price index is higher than it's ever been, which means that what it takes to feed a household today is literally, I mean, it's about 270 or so naira per household. When you look at all the things that you would imagine to be the promises that were made, especially when people were agitating for change, they wanted a safer and a more secure country. Well, more people have lost their lives in the last 19, 20 months than have almost been in the previous years. When you look at corruption, today we would say that, you know, we're doing really bad in terms of the fact that corruption today it's become a joke. It's the laughing stock for most people. We have now seen that, corruption is partisan. That if you are in a particular party, then you have the tendency to be corrupt. If you're within another party, even if you were labeled corrupt before, all of a sudden now you're a saint, you know. So when you look at the things that are going on, I mean, for the first time, 47 days, the students have been at home. ASU is on strike. And what is sickening is nobody's even shouting. Nobody's going on strike. So when you think about the 13.2 million children, which is the highest ever that we've ever had, and still the highest in the world, that are out of school, then add another 4 or so million children, students that are in school that are currently now adding up to that. So you look at it and you say, where is the hope? And today, I think that that's one of the greatest challenges that we have, is that today, in terms of hope, Nigerians are less hopeful, in fact, more hopeless than they've ever been. And you can see that also in the number of people traveling out. There was a recent report that I saw that said 21 families are leaving Nigeria permanently through the Murtala Mohammed Airport. Not talking about the thousands and tens and hundreds of thousands of people that are walking past our borders through to Libya, trying to go past the Mediterranean Sea to just get to a nation, any nation that works. So I would say that we're not doing well. And today, most people have lost faith in government, but that's not the one that pains me the most. They've lost faith in themselves. They've lost faith in their ability to be able to change and make things better. Most people are no longer trying to start business. Now, I mean, look at the jobs report. I mean, what, 8 million people that are first-time job seekers. That means people are, the largest number or percentage of the people that are out there are just people they've never found a job. They don't even have hope that there can be a job. So when I look at all the parameters, we're losing doctors by the day. We are losing. I mean, inflation is almost at its highest at its been. You know, we look at all the indicators, economic indicators, social indicators, human development indicators. It's not looking good. So
now that would probably explain to some extent why you decided to make yourself available this time around.
Absolutely.
And there are a number of others much younger, I would call that the younger generation, who have come out this time to say, look, we also want to have our voices heard. Mm-hmm. What's been the experience? You've been traveling around, talking to people, campaigning and all that, meeting with influential leaders and all that. What's been your view going round? What's been your view? You've talked about hope and hopeless situations, but what's been your view coming from the people, seeing you, the younger generation, now trying to make yourselves heard? Is it one of support, or are they skeptical?
Oh, it's a combination of a few things. Now, I mean, there is first of all the excitement, and it's the excitement that finally hope has come. Because when they see people like myself, people like Omoyele Shuore, Professor Kingsley Mogalu, Dr. Obieze Kwesili, and several others, Dr. Fashua, many of the other people, they begin to say, hey, something is happening. There are, really, people that seem to have the capacity to be able to take intelligent decisions that would probably be able to help us get the best policies. There are people who have shown leadership in one sphere or the other, and so when they're seeing this generation emerge, they're saying, wow, something is going on here. And that is also happening at all the other levels. I think you may look at us at the presidential level and think, but it's more exciting when you look at the number of really smart people with the right values, visionaries who have done something in their profession or their business or with their careers. When you see the number of people that are now stepping into this political space to say, I'm going to run for Senate, I'm going to run for House of Reps, that are running for governor, on different platforms, I think that is really exciting. That excites people, but of course then there's the skepticism, which is, will they let them? The system is so bad, and that system is not just one within the political party framework, which many of people have been burnt, and we've seen that especially through the primaries, right. Where a lot of people ran the good race, but in the end, it was still a godfather factor that put many down. But I think that beyond the political party framework, a lot of them are looking at the security framework and saying, will the government use security to suppress the capacity of people, to intimidate voters, as we've seen in Ekiti, in Osun? Will the government, influence unduly the independent status of INEC, so that we may have a NEC, but maybe not an INEC? We don't know. But again, the whole idea is that's cynicism, that's skepticism. That thing about people not being sure is coming not from us. We're the light, we're the excitement, but people are not sure whether the light will be, whether the darkness is so gross that it wouldn't allow the light to shine. And I keep saying to them, the numbers are there. Stop doubting. The numbers are there to show. Look, in 2015, right, 96 million people were above the age of 18. 68 million voters card has been issued. And yet only 28 million votes, not voters, but votes, were counted between the two major parties who we know, and we saw evidence of vote buying, multiple voting, ballot stuffing, underage voting. All of that together brought about only 28 million votes. Even if, just for the ease of conversation, that every vote belonged to a voter, it still means that 40 million people who had PVCs did not vote. And another 28 million people did not even bother to get their PVCs. So even though 68 million voters' cards had been issued, my brother, 68 million people did not vote. This is so interesting because it therefore tells us that really what we have as a nation and the government we have is not because of the people who voted, it's actually because of the people who didn't vote. That if we then ask, why did they not vote? Well, I would say it this way. Many of the people who voted, we know, were influenced by money. So the language that most politicians speak is money. But the larger community of the people, the larger segment of the people who didn't vote, their currency is different. It's belief. And what they were looking for was someone to believe in, something to believe in, a political structure to believe in. And they couldn't find it in APC, they couldn't find it in PDP, which are really one and the same party. It's like one road with 2 lanes on it, right? But the point that I'm making is they were the ones that didn't vote, and to this extent, this is the greatest challenge that we are facing. How do we get them to believe? Now, they believe, oh, the problem is, even though they believe, they still have this cynicism that these political gladiators will not allow us. So they talk about, do we have the structure? Yeah, well, we don't have
that's a big question. Because, yes, at the point, let me say this, because up to where you are,
yes,
what the idea that seems to be coming from what you're saying is that even if you left the 28 million who between the two major
assume that
parties
everybody that collected money will still collect money.
You still have this huge number that didn't vote, and which would be a star attraction going after them.
If I can quickly just add something in there, over the last 4 years, they've grown by 12 million in terms of voting population. So the voting population today is 108 million, and INEC has issued in just this electoral cycle alone, as of November, 23 million new voters cards. And those voters cards, as you remember, INEC had real issues, had budget issues, had logistics issues, so it was not easy to get registered. So many of the people who got their voters cards woke up at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. to go and stand in queues for hours. But 23 million people as at November has been added to your 68 million. So a total of 91 million voters cards are out there. And maybe well in excess of 50 million people are there that are not incentivized by money. They won't vote because of money. They won't go and collect 3,000 or 4,000 or 5,000. But they are looking at it and saying, will it happen? Will my vote count?